I think one of the most important things to realize about grief, and it's really something that very few people seem to know about, is that this whole experience of grief when we lose someone that we're close to, that we love, and whether it's in tragic circumstances, whether it's somebody perhaps who is older and we were expecting them to die, whatever it is, we go through this pain because this is actually a biological, physical process. There is a physiological basis to feeling grief. And it's actually a good thing. It's something necessary for our survival, both individually and as a species. It's built into us biologically. And it's all to do with something called a chemical that our brain produces called oxytocin. Now, you might have heard of oxytocin. Oxytocin is a hormone, or more correctly called a neurotransmitter, that makes us feel good. But it's often called the love hormone because this hormone, oxytocin, is produced whenever we feel love and bonding towards another individual person. And it's designed not only to make our loving bond strong, but to keep it strong. And one of the ways it does that is it ensures that if there's any chance of that bond breaking, then we actually feel bad. I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment, but for now, what I'm really getting at is when we're in love with someone or when we feel lovingly towards someone else, we are producing this oxytocin, this chemical that makes us feel good. So what we're doing on a chemical level is we're associating this relationship with pleasurable feelings. And that's, when you think about it, that's really important biologically. It means that the bond between two parents is strengthened, or it stays very strong enough, at least for the amount of time required to bring up offspring. And when you feel a loving bond with someone else, you're going to want to do everything you can to protect them. Sometimes perhaps even at the cost of your own life. And this is when you hear stories of people who sacrifice their own life to save the person that they love. So this is all about biological survival. This is all about making that relationship, that bond, as strong as possible to ensure the survival not only of the two people involved, but perhaps offspring, children as well. But here's what happens when that bond is broken. And sometimes that can be broken through perhaps a marriage splitting up. That can cause the same effect. But of course, it definitely happens when there is a loss, when there is a death of one of the two people. What that causes, it causes the brain to stop producing this oxytocin, this love hormone, and that literally creates, on a chemical level, a drug withdrawal. And it's a very powerful drug withdrawal that's often been likened or has been compared to any other drug withdrawal, like cocaine, for instance, and it produces the same physical, mental, and emotional effects.